Hello again, another day, another trading session. US just opening up, so it's going to be an interesting, nice rocky ride, I think, to the start of this US session. Lots of news coming out in the past couple of hours. So yeah, hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Hope you're all managing the risk getting into these trades, and yeah, just managing how the market's going to move over the next couple of hours. I think it's going to be a good one for this week. So for anyone not aware what's happened today, just checking the microphone's got volume. Yeah, so anyone's not aware what's happened today, we've had two news announcements, one around the ECB. So they're obviously keeping interest rate set at 0%. So as expected, they're not going to do any more interest rates on the euro. And we had some inflationary figures come out of the US, therefore inflation is now up to 5% and looking quite pretty much another strain on some of the economy over there. So there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, in the market today, especially around currencies. Now, yeah, just want to tell you a quick overall view of where I am with FTMO currently on this particular challenge. If I bring up my spreadsheet. So week one concluded yesterday. Now, my objective for week one of this challenge was purely just to get back into it and not make any rash mistakes. And I wanted to get to a 1% profit target. But unfortunately, I didn't. I ended the week pretty much flat. I think that's because I started off badly, started off with a 0.5% loss, and also I gained that back the following day. Then Monday this week, I had over 1% loss on that day, and I've gained that back over the past few days. So I'm now flat. It's not been the perfect start to this challenge, but I still have 16 trading days left in my calculation. So I need to make £6,900 on the FTMO challenge to get into the next evaluation phase. And obviously that is only 0.6% per day, or £431 if you break it down to a monetary target. So I'm still not too worried. It could turn around very, very quickly in a matter of one or two trades. When you look at some of the trades I was in, for example, I was looking to be short gold yesterday, and that did actually end up going the way I wanted it to, but I wasn't in it. So if that had come off, then I would have been at least 2% up. But it's now just waiting to see what's going to happen with some of these markets. We're seeing a big surge now that the Dow has opened. We look at the chart on the Dow. We see we've obviously got a bit of volatility coming up off this one. It's now pretty much at where it was at the close of yesterday, which is good. And obviously we see where has been some pressure overnight and throughout the beginning of the European session for price to come down on the Dow. It's now recovered that with the figures coming out. So if we look at how that's moved in the past couple of hours, that's been 235 point move on the Dow in the past couple of hours. So a fairly significant move from where it was. And it'd be nice to see if it carries on going up. Only because, again, if we look on the daily chart, we can see it's pushing into territories where it could break up quite significantly, bouncing off the 20 moving average, which it has been maintaining a quite strong discipline with over the past couple of months. We could see a big surge and potentially come close to the record highs on the Dow. Now, if that's reflected back into the UK markets, which as we know it is, if you look at the FTSE now, again just zooming out very, very slightly, where I've been waiting to get in is when it gets into this kind of yellow zone, which is where on a hourly chart it has touched sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 or 7 times and been rejected off that price. Now if it comes up to somewhere close to 7,120 at the top of that range, then I'll potentially be looking to go short and see what happens, hold on for a while. When you look at where the all-time high has been at 7,160, there's potential to come higher, but there seems to be a bit more pressure on the FTSE at the moment to come down. Now let's take a look at the big mover of the euro. Let's zoom out a little bit to a 15-minute chart. So beginning of the week, I was looking to be short on the euro, and if we look at where we were at the beginning of the week, we are pretty much still at the same price. Obviously, the price has been fluctuating and going very much sideways. We can see where the price did come out at 12 or 1 o'clock today. Sorry, we'll zoom in. It was on this bar here. Do a big arrow to it, and price literally spiked up and then spiked down within the matter of minutes to show that there was obviously some uncertainty there. And obviously with the US inflationary figures coming out, that's potentially going to put a bit of pressure on the dollar, and then we can see some more movement in the euro. Again, for myself and my trading style, there really isn't much I can look at the moment on this, because again, looking for a clear trend or a clear direction, if we look at the hourly chart, there's nothing. It is literally choppy water. Anytime news comes out, it reacts quite badly, and it would be nice to be able to trade the news and understand what's going to happen. But the reality is we don't. Price comes out at any particular time, or the news comes out any particular time, and price reacts in the most ridiculous ways. So I'm probably going to leave the euro alone for a little bit, just sort of because I think it's getting, again, go out daily chart, it's getting close to these highs. I still think there is more negative pressure on euro at the moment, and I can see potentially price coming all the way back down to somewhere below 1.2. But again, that's just my speculation on where it's going to be. I can see a bit more weakness in the euro. I'm probably more interested at the moment at British pound. It's had a bit more of a positive reaction to some of the news, and we can see, looking at the range on it on the 4-hour chart, it did literally touch through 1.41 just below, bounced off the 200 moving average on a 4-hour chart, and this obviously came all the way back up. So for me, this is a waiting game again, but I think it's the opportunity to get into a much more of a long-term swing trade, which on these challenges they are allowed because we can hold up positions over the weekend, and I would like to see price come up to, if we can get price coming up again into 1.42, then I'll be looking to short British pound and hold on for 1 to 200 point movement potentially, if it can come back down to 1.4. Do we have anything more intraday that we can possibly trade on the British pound? This potentially could be a flag setting up. As always, flags are relatively robust and reliable as a continuation pattern. Trying to move that across, it's not moving. Draw another one in. So based on this, I'll be waiting for a bit more of a continuation, try and get a bit more of this flag forming. Let's look on the 5-minute chart. Potentially, I'd want to see price come back to the lower part of the range before returning back to the top. At that point, a breakout is probably more likely to happen once you've got 2 or 3 confirmations in that range, and a breakout of that high, which it would be somewhere in the region of 141.40. We can then start targeting probably a 40 or 50 pip movement higher. 15-minute chart. So that's my thinking on pound at the moment, cable. So you just need to wait a little bit more for that to form, which potentially could happen this afternoon. If looking at these are 15-minute candles, in the next hour or so, that potentially could have formed and set up a nice flag pattern as a continuation to see where it's going. And obviously that would probably be confirmed by the range bound motion between this 141, 142.50. So we can see that's range bound, so we know that potentially we have that move higher. and because we're not going to be targeting much above this previous high in the week of 141.90, that gives us a fairly good move. And if we can get our stop loss in below some of the lows, we obviously then look to get potentially a 3-to-1 on that trade. Let's take a look at gold. Now I think gold's going to be quite bullish today. I think where the sell-off happened overnight and into the beginning of this session, with the news coming out with the inflation, if anything is inflationary, we tend to get a kind of a move to a safety of an asset, and gold being the anti-inflationary asset. So I can potentially see gold coming back up to 1900 by the end of today's session. And I think it's going to possibly hang around there for a little while. If we look at a higher time frame, so 1 hour chart again shows that we've moved up. How far have we moved on this last bar? So from 1870, so $20 move on that last bar. And if we look at what happened with the news towards the end of last week, we can see the exact same thing happened. We had this huge move when price came back down to 1870. It then bounced back up to 1900. So I can still see this moving higher end of today. And I think when it comes up to there, I'll be looking to possibly short it for again a longer term swing trade and hold that for a bit longer. We can see prices starting to cap very slightly with some more downward pressure. We haven't got any higher highs on gold. That's on a 1 hour chart, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty much touches on that. So a break of that trend line, or the sort of high level of resistance, could see us definitely hit 1900 up to 1910 again. Let's go back to tile these. It's interesting to see as well that they are starting to follow each other. We're seeing gold is almost following the pattern of British pound. We can see that very similar flag pattern, and we are seeing that go down slightly on the FTSE. That's starting to follow some of the moves on the Dow. So we start to see the correlations coming in between a lot of the ones I would expect to be following each other. I'm going to take a quick look at some other currency pairs which I wouldn't normally be looking at. So Aussie dollar. Again, just to get a feel for, is there anything else happening in currency pairs that I'm not watching that could be a good trend? No trend whatsoever on Aussie dollar on an hour chart. It's just, for me, that's taking a punt on a gamble. Do I go long or short? There's nothing there that could then allow me on a smaller time frame, especially on a 15-minute, to find a clean entry. It's just sideways, choppy all over the way. Let's look at dollar CAD, the loonie. 1 hour chart to see if we can get a clear direction. Again, we are starting to make some higher highs and higher lows in the past couple of sessions. But again, if you go back for the past week, so again, this chart shows pretty much the last 7 or 8 days, we are still very much range bound and going sideways. Nothing really clear on that direction. We know that the daily chart on the CAD is very much down. I'll just show you the daily chart. We can see we have quite a relatively strong downward trend for historically going back most of this year pretty much, but it is starting to show some signs of coming back up. So we could potentially see a break above the 121.30 line and price come in 30 or 40 pips higher before then coming back down. So for me, we're starting to see a shift in some of the change on these. So I'm not wanting to trade that right now. What else we got? British pound, yen. It's a very popular one by a lot of people. British pound, yen. Let's go for again, just daily. We can see it's a uptrend, bouncing around nicely. So price is continuing up. Go to hourly chart. Price has moved up again, especially with the cable moves. British pound in the past day or so. So definitely that is forming the same flag pattern we're seeing on cable, because that's the dominant one. We know the yen's not going to trade much purely because it's going to be correlating to what the dollar is doing. There's no yen news coming out for Japan because they're all closed. Do I have the yen? USD JPY. So a daily chart, still in a nice uptrend on dollar yen, so showing a bit more dollar strength and possibly coming higher, so therefore that will have the reverse on pound yen. Is obviously that one's going to go higher. It's always working out the tricky one, isn't it? What is the dominant pair, crossing them out, doing the cross correlation, then working out where it's going to go. So I do think that the pound yen has definitely got a lot of potential for going higher in the next 2 or 3 days. I'm not sure how much further it can go, but we shall see. Purely just because the pound is going to be starting to be capped by that price of 142, 143. So there's possibly a move up to 156.50 on pound yen. So let's take a look at the Swissy. Daily chart showing a lot of selling pressure. So we're looking to be short on dollar yen. Come down to the hourly chart once it updates. So yeah, more shorting pressure on that one because we are seeing more of a clear downward trend, although we had the spikes in the past couple of hours. And just look on 15-minute. It has been quite sideways over the previous sessions, but that could start to show a break. When we break down through 0.895, we could see price start to fall quite significantly. My problem with this one, where do I put my stop loss? And if I have to put my stop loss above the recent high, then we are at how many pips away? Fair few pips away on that one. And would that give me a reasonable target of 2-3 to 1 on a 4-hour chart very quickly? Got slow to update, so I've been looking at the Swissy for a while. Again, my target would probably be some of these recent lows, and that does not give me anywhere near a 1 to 1, let alone a 2 to 1. So for me, I'm not looking to short Swissy, leave it alone for now. Interesting that the FTSE has literally come into the yellow zone and rejected that and come down. So that has moved not that much in that time, probably only 15 points. So not a huge amount, but it's still enough to wait for a little bit longer. Now, what this is showing me on this chart, if I ignore everything beyond the 9th of June, so pretty much from yesterday, we are in a nice uptrend. We are getting some higher highs and higher lows. Again, that's probably confirmed on a 5-minute chart. A little more choppy around some of the news that came out earlier, but we have potential, if this pulls back a little bit more, to go long for the rest of today on FTSE. So yeah, someone's just mentioned there is roughly two massive moves of $20 each on gold each week. And recently there has been correct. It's been around the news. So last week non-farm payroll, as well as the day before we had the employment figures come out. This week we've had the inflationary figures from the US, as well as the interest rates from Euro. So we are seeing these big news announcements are moving the dollar around about $20 to $30 movements, and then the rest of the time it's just reversing or going sideways. It's really in that sort of tight zone at the moment. Let's zoom in a bit more on this so I can explain my logic and my thinking. So we are on an hourly chart and obviously 15-minute chart. We are on a time frame, so we've got multiple time frames all aligning in the same direction of going up. We're seeing we've got a bit of resistance above 7100, and when it hit there it's been rejected. We've now got 4 seller candles. So for me, anytime this breaks and goes green and price is above the 20 moving average, then I would be looking to go long and buy, and very, very tight stop loss. So for resistance wise, on my chart, I'm showing 1797. 1, 2, 3 or 4 touches previously as at a resistance that was broken through it. It's then been rejected and come back down. So is that going to be my key level to break through? I think it potentially is. So anything breaking above 7100 today, I can see that being a 20 to 30 point move upwards, especially with the Dow. Let's bring the Dow chart back in. Especially with the more positivity with the US session coming on today. We're seeing price significantly going higher. It's not showing any sign of slowing down right now. We probably want to see a few more consolidation bars and obviously price then surge back up as we go through. But for me, definitely, because I would prefer to trade the FTSE. Once we get to the close of the UK session, which is an hour and 40 minutes from now, then the FTSE will just literally follow what the Dow does. Almost, it's not point for point, it's almost 2 points for 1 point. So we'll see how it actually will react over the rest of the session. So if the Dow can put on another 100 points, then FTSE could quite easily put on 50 points. And if it does that, it will hit the target of quite nicely in the 7120 region. Let's just see how price reacts to this horizontal resistance line. My thinking would be it is going to respect it for a little bit. We might see 1 or 2 more touches over the next hour and then break through maybe around about 4 o'clock and towards the end of the UK session, where there are going to be some more panic buyers coming in, wanting to get in on a price before the session closes. We often see that in the UK markets, where they anticipate that the trend of the US is going to continue for the next 2-3 hours and through the Asia session, and therefore they can make a quick overnight gap on some of the stocks that they buy end of the session. So I'm going to take one final look at gold, and I'm going to go and get some fresh air. So gold definitely is, as I said before, potentially going to be closing up, I think, close to 1900 today. The only other news announcements coming out today, I believe, is natural gas. That shouldn't have any impact on oil. And then we've got some federal budget balance announcements later on today. So depending on what that comes out, that could have a significant push on gold higher. So there's always the fade reverse on gold. There's always that option of, okay, fine, prices come up significantly. It's had that $20, $30 move. Is it going to run out of steam? Are we going to see it now start to reverse and come back down? For me, at the moment, there's no sign that I would want to short this right now, just because it's still looking a bit more bullish based on news that will come out today, as well as what happened today. And also, you often want to wait and see. Again, indicators are all those things that we always use because they lag, but sometimes they can be almost a precursor to what's happening. And if we look against RSI, which is my preferred one, we can see the recent highs on here have started to go downwards. I'll draw that on here. So those lower lows on the RSI are in convergence with the trend on the price itself. So we can see, although the indicator is lagging, it is confirming what price is doing and is convergent. Now we've got a break above that, and price is now starting to come above 50. We're now seeing that 50 or above is going to be our buyer's zone, and therefore there's going to be more buying strength coming into this one. Again, if we are using this as a lagging indicator, then the buyers will be coming in the future, or already come in, and therefore they're going to continue to come in over the rest of this session. So that's, for me, is showing a reason why I wouldn't be shorting it right now. I would want to see RSI come right up to 70 or higher and then short it at that point. Because again, historically, if we zoom out very, very slightly, we can see that gold does tend to react quite nicely to the 70 level. If we look at when it happened on the 25th of May, it was just above 77 and then came all the way back down. Then we see it again in this kind of region on 31st of May, came all the way back down. The next one obviously is then not making a higher high, and obviously price reverse, therefore you can use price structure to confirm that one. And obviously with beginning of the week, when it did touch above at 75, price then literally came off $20, $30. So it's just getting a feel for what the indicator's telling me. I'm not trading off them. I'm using them as confirmation as always. So yeah, nice to draw these things out and actually have a reflection on what they might mean. And obviously, I think just John made in the comments there that my cable trade yesterday that I cut short would have hit my target, and yes, it would have done, which is a real shame. But I've been sitting in front of the screen for a couple of hours. I just wanted to get out and just get some fresh air, and I just didn't want to worry about it. Although I put my stop loss at break even, which is always a good thing to do. Yeah, just moved away rather than close and take the profit I had at that point and not worry about it. Only because when I'd done the same thing at the beginning of the week on my gold trade, it was at the point of in profit, stop loss was there, I went out for the day and I came back and it had lost. So I didn't want to make the same mistake again. And we can see, yes, cable is now breaking up, possibly missed out on that move. Let's go to the 5-minute chart, looking at that flag again. It's not really formed a flag as such, it's more just been a pullback into an area of, well, it's broken out. If we draw that line in, it's broken up above 141.20, came back and retested, bounced off and come back up. So yeah, definitely I think cable's going to be coming higher. And for me, it's waiting to get into that upper end of the scale to short it, and I'll short it probably quite aggressively. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up for today. Unfortunately, I've not been able to place any trades in the past half an hour. I've probably been talking too much, as always, rambling on about nothing in particular. But yeah, I'm hopefully managed to gain a bit more information of what I'm thinking, how my thought process goes through doing these FTMO challenges. As always, it's not rushing them. It's just getting to the point of waiting for price to come to where I want to get into a trade, and not forcing a trade just for the sake of doing it, because that's the worst thing that can happen. If I show you very quickly my metrics on it, you can see over the past week it has been a case of I started off losing trade, did pretty well, losing trade, and it's just been the past 2 or 3 days for me. There's been no price movement. It's been very much sideways, and we can see it in the trading results. It has been winner, loser, and a couple of winners. So we're now seeing that I am day 6 into trading, so I've not passed that requirement. I've not failed on the drawdowns, on the maximum daily drawdown. I've only gone to a maximum of probably 1.8% on any particular day. Same thing, maximum daily loss or maximum loss overall has been just under the 2% mark. And I'm now into a positive, which is a bonus, because if I maintain at this point, I get a retake. And that's always the number one priority. Make sure you get through the challenge and not losing your money. So yeah, the trades I'll get into, I will definitely try and record those or do a trade summary at the end of each week. I've not done it for a while. I used to do some of those, but I will try and do my best. It won't be this weekend, so I'm off. I'm going on a bit of a road trip to get away from the screens and get out of the house. So I'll probably have a bit of a relaxed weekend away from thinking about charts and trading. But definitely, once I'm into next week, I will go through all of my trades and do a lot more videos on it. How many setups am I looking for? Not many. As I say, I only want to trade on the instruments I'm comfortable with. I won't go and trade the weird cross pairs on currency pairs. I won't go and trade everything just because they're not what I'm confident in, and I don't want to spend all my time going through charts, because I know when I look straight away at British pound, so cable, I know the price instantly on my head where I can get in. I know where the support and resistance are. I don't have to worry about it. So although setup wise and strategies, majority I'm looking for pullbacks or some continuation patterns, is just waiting for that price break on most of them. So I'm not looking for everything. It's just more when it becomes apparent I'll get into the trade rather than forcing it. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they overthink the trade, or they want to be in a trade just for the sake of being in a trade. Especially on these challenges, we know that we've got 1 month, so effectively 22 trading days to get it completed. If you haven't done it by day 5, you're a loser. You're not. You are probably a better trader than people do it in day 5. But you get to the day 16, 17, day 20, and you feel you have to start making trades. And I'd rather do it properly and consistently and build momentum rather than just jumping in. So yeah, I'm not looking for massive amounts of trade setups. If I got 1 or 2 trades per day maximum, I'd be happy. And that would be 1 or 2 good trades on a 2 or 3 to 1. I've not managed to find many of those recently. I've probably been getting out of them a bit quick. But I think there's potential in the next day or two if we are able to probably go long on FTSE, which has rejected those prices and come back down. So wait a little bit more and buy into FTSE end of today, as well as short gold when it comes back up to 1900. So yeah, gold's now rallying again in the past 15-20 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up there. Hope you've all enjoyed the past 35 minutes. I can't believe I talk so much. But eventually, yeah, we'll get better and we'll get some more trades coming in on these live sessions. I may not do one tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. See how the day goes. But definitely back on Monday. And I might even try and pre-record some videos for the weekend. So if I don't speak to you before, have a fantastic weekend. Good trading, everyone, and I will catch up with you soon. Cheers, everyone.